This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, so this is the last program we have discussed. We have read customer number as user input, and based on this customer number, we are retrieving what a single record from the database table. So for reading single record from the database table, we understood that we have to use the open SQL statement called as what select single. Okay. Now let us see how to read multiple records from the database tables. Okay, so let me go to a table. Yeah, I'll go to a table in Abap dictionary. I'll go to a table called as Mara table, which stores what general material data. Just like we have KN1, which stores the customer data. We have Mara table, which stores what general material data. So in this particular table, in this particular Mara table, what are the key fields here? You can see we have MANDT and what material number. MANDT is what client field, and MATNR is nothing but what material number. So the key field is material number. Just like we have customer number in KN1 table, here we have material number in Mara table. So if I go to the contents of this particular table, Mara table, it has got around 21,536 records. Okay, Mara table has got some 21,536 records. So what are the key field here? Material number. Okay, so for each material, you'll have what? One record. So overall, how many materials are there? Some 21,536. So in the same Mara table, you can see here, we have a field called as MTART. MTART. What is this field here? Material type. Okay, we have the field MTART, nothing but material type, which is character of what? 4. Character of 4. Character of 4. It is the non-key field. It is a non-key field. Means it is not a primary key. So this field can have what? Duplicate values. So if I go to the contents, yeah, you can see and observe this carefully. This Mara table has got around 200 plus fields. It has got around 265 fields, right? So I want to check the number of materials for each material type. Okay, for each material type, I want to check the number of records. Overall, how many materials are there? Some 21,500 materials are there. I want to filter the materials based on material type. So what is the field name here? MTRT, which is not a key field. So if I go to contents, so you can see here, can we see that field MTRT here? No, we don't have. We have MATNR, we have ERSDA, ERNAM, and we have ANAM. But I want to check the materials for each material type. Overall, we have 21,000 change. So let us filter on material type. So on this particular standard selection screen, right, on this particular standard selection screen, I don't have a field like what? MTRT. Okay, I don't have that field MTRT. So how do you change the selection screen? Am I clear? If I go to the contents, I want to filter the data based on one field called as material type, which is not shown by default on this selection screen. So how do I change this selection? This is basically a selection screen. How to change this? Here only, I'll choose the menu settings, fields for what? Selection, right? Settings, fields for selection. Okay, if I click on this fields for selection, it will display the fields of this Mara table. What are the fields selected here? MATNR, ERSDA, ERNAME, and AENAME. So whatever the fields are selected, those fields only are displayed on the selection screen. So I want to filter on material types. I'll select the field what? Empty ART. Okay, we have the scroll bar here. You can scroll down and select the required fields. I'm selecting what? Empty ART, continue. So the selection screen will be modified. So you can see here, we have the field what? Empty ART. So overall, how many materials are there? 21,500. So if you see here, what are the available material types? If you browse this, it is showing all the material types defined in the SAP system. How many entries are there? Around 57 entries are there. Understood? 57 entries. I'll choose the material type as COUP, coupons. Okay, so based on this material type, how many materials are there? Some 10 materials are there. Understood? If I execute this, it will show you those 10 materials. So you can see for all these materials, what is the material type here? Coupons. Understood? MTRT is not a key field, so it cannot duplicate values. So for multiple records, we have the same material type. Understood? Similarly, I'll select another material type. Let me select something, what, spare parts, ERSA. Number of entries are at 47. Okay, I'll select like something container non-value, it seems. Number of entries 3. So what is the meaning? Each material type, understood? Each material type might contain what? Might contain what? 0 or 1 or more materials. Understood? So what is the field here? Empty ART. So am I clear? So my requirement is when I execute the report, we should get the selection screen where we have to accept material number as user input. Material type, not material number, material type. So in the Mara table, we have the field MTRT. We have to read material type as user input. Whenever we execute that selection screen, I should get the data from the Mara table. Okay, so Mara table has got around 200 plus fields, 265 fields. I don't want all the 265 fields. Let us retrieve only few fields like MATNR, what? MBRSH, industry sector, and MATKL, nothing but material group. So what are the fields I want to retrieve? Material number, industry sector. So in the Mara table, I want to get MATNR, material number. Next what? MBRSH, nothing but industry sector, and MATKL. What is this? Material group. So these are the three fields that I want to retrieve. From which table? Mara table. Three fields let us retrieve. Okay, so when I'm retrieving the data from the Mara table, I need to compare based on which field? Material type. Na? Material type is what field here? It is a not a primary key field. Understood? The checkbox is not selected here. Understood? For the column key, the checkbox is not selected, empty ART. So we are going to retrieve the data comparing with what field? Material type, empty ART. That is what the input we are going to enter on the selection screen. So yesterday we retrieved the customer data comparing with what key field? What is the key field? Customer number. So when you're comparing with the key field, obviously maximum we'll have only one record. No? So to read one record, we are using what? Select single. Now we are comparing with what? Non-key field. So I may have zero record, one record, or multiple records. Right? So I should not use select single because we are going to compare based on what? Material type, which is not a key field. So there is a probability of what? Multiple records based on this particular field. So let us see how to read multiple records. Since I may retrieve multiple records. Yesterday we took individual fields or I took a work area. Na? Now I should take internal table. Understood? Because work area can store maximum of what? One record. Now I should declare an internal table with how many fields? 3 fields. Because my requirement is I want to fetch 3 fields. And why I should go for internal table? Because there is a probability that it may retrieve what? My select query might retrieve what? Multiple records. That is the reason I should declare the internal table. And when I'm retrieving the data, that retrieved data will come and sit directly in the body of the internal table. So far, when you're working with the internal tables, when we are filling the internal table, what is the process we followed? First, we are filling the work area. From work area, we are appending it to what? Body of the internal table. Now, when I'm retrieving from the database, the retrieved data will be can be directly stored in the body of the internal table. And in order to display the data from internal table, obviously, we have to populate each record from body to header by using what? Loop and what? End loop. So this internal table I can declare either with default header, or if it is without header, I need to take a separate work area which will act as what? Header. So I have to populate each record from body to header, and from header you have to display it to the output screen. So this is the overall requirement. Any questions based on this requirement? Okay. Right. So let us see how to approach. So first let us focus on what? Selection screen, which should read what? Material type from the user. Yeah, let me re-log in. Forty-five. Reading multiple records from database. So type of program is what? Executable program. Local object. So what is the initial focus here? We need to construct the selection screen for reading what? Material type as what? User input. So how do you proceed with this? Yes, anyone? How do you proceed? Yes, anyone? How do you proceed? Hope everyone is active. Yes, how do you proceed? Initially, I want a selection screen to read the material types. How do you proceed?
Parameters.
Yeah, parameters. Okay. I need to refer to which field?
Material type.
Material type. Okay. So I need to refer to the field material type in which table? Mara table. So if you go to Abap dictionary, in the Mara table, I need to refer to a field called as MTRT, material type. So as I told you, when you are declaring the program variables, if you want to refer to the database field properties, don't hard code the data type and size. Okay, instead, it is recommended either to refer to the field or refer to the data element. What is the data element of this field? MTRT. Okay, so what is the data type here? Character of 4. So one thing is I can do like this: parameters. I'll say p underscore. Generally, we'll give what? Same name. So I'll say MTRT of 4 type C. If I say like this, what is the issue here? When I execute, it will generate the selection screen. Here you have to enter the material type. So do you have any F4 help here? When I press F4, no, I'm not getting any F4 help. Understood? So in the SAP system, how many material types are available? Around 57 material types. If you go to the data element level, Okay, if you go to the domain in the value range tab, what is the value table? It is saying T134. So T134 is a table which stores all the material types. If I double click on T134, yeah, this is a table in SAP which stores all the material types. So we have a field what material type here. So if I go to contents, how many material types are defined in the SAP system in my server? 57 material types. Okay. So here, what is the problem with this approach? If I directly hardcode the data type, I am not getting the F4 help. So user has to remember those material type list of material types defined in the SAP system, na, which is not possible. And what is the other disadvantage? In future, if the data type or size is modified at the table level, here also I have to do the necessary changes, which will increase what? Maintenance cost. That is the reason it is recommended not to hard code the data type and what size, not recommended. So what I can do, I can say parameters p underscore mtrt. I can refer to what? Data element directly or to the field. What is the data element of this mtrt field? Again, mtrt only. So I'll say type what? mtart. So when I execute, when I press, you can see here, acha, I'm not getting F4 alpha. I'm referring to the data element. Observe here. F8. When I press F4 here, it is saying no input help is available. It is not giving me any what? Input help. Probably the problem could be if I double click on this data element. Okay, at the data element level, if I go to further characteristics, I don't have any search help attached. That's why I'm not getting the F4L. Understood? I'm not getting the F4L. So instead of referring to the data element, so here what you are doing, we are referring, this is fine, but the issue with this here is what? I am not getting the F4L, probably because there is no search help attached at what? Data element level. Yesterday, in the K11 table for customer number field at the data element level, we have the search help attached. But here, since there is no search help attached, I am not getting the F4 helps. But this is okay because we are avoiding the data type instance. But the problem is the user cannot remember the list of what? Material type. So what I'll do here, instead of doing like this, let me check whether at the field level, whether we have any data element attached. So if I select this MTRT, okay, I'll select this. I'll check at the whether at the field level whether any search help is attached. Okay, if I click on the search help button, there is no search help linked to the field mara-mtrt. But let's see whether I'll get the F4 help or not. Even though there is no search help attached, I'll say parameters p underscore mtrt type. What is that? Mara-mtrt. So when I save, check for the syntax. When I execute, I'm getting the icon, right? So I'm getting the list of what? Material type. So what is the analysis we have to understand here is at the field level, there is no search help attached. I'll select this. If I click on what? Search help, it is not showing, there is no search help. Even at the data element level also, if I double click on data element, I don't have any search help. But at the domain level, a value table is attached now. At the domain level, a value table is attached. That is because of that value table, we are getting the F4L if you are referring to the field. So now the user can select the list of or can select one of the material type. Okay, and when I click on execute based on this material type, I should get the corresponding data and display to the user. Understood? So I can, if I directly hardcode the data type and size, what is the problem with this? In future, if the database field properties are modified, we have to do the changes here also, which will increase what? Maintenance cost. So to avoid that increase in maintenance cost, What is the recommendation? Either you refer to the data element or to the field. If I refer to the data element, in this case, we are not getting the F4L. Okay, that's why I am referring to a table field. Even though at the table field level, there is no search help attached, but at the domain level, there is a value table attached. Because of that, we are getting the F4L. So this is most suited for this requirement. So what is the analysis is? Either you have to refer to the data element or to the table field. Okay, if you are referring to the data element, if you are getting what F4L, I can use that also. Suppose in yesterday's case, in the 44th example, we are referring to the field. Okay, KN1 customer number. So if I execute, we are getting the F4L. Understood? So instead of doing like this, in the yesterday's case, what I can do here, I can say parameters. What is the data element of this customer number field? If you go to KN1 table, the data element is again what? Customer number only. So for this KNR, data element is KNR. If you double click on this data element, at the data element level, if I go to further characteristic, there is some what? Search help attached. So in this case, if I refer to the data element, type what? Customer number. When I execute, we are getting what? Search help, because at the data element level, there is search help attached. Okay, so I can do like this, or I can refer to the field. So depending on the requirement, you have to refer either to the field or to the data element. So in this case, if I refer to the data element, I am not getting the F4L because there is no search help attached at the data element level. So I'm referring to the field. Here, the field level also there is no search help attached, but the domain of that particular field is having a value table linked. Because of that, we are getting the F4L. So this is most appropriate for my requirement. So I got the selection screen where I can enter the material type. So based on this material type, I should get the data from which table? Mara table. So since we are going to retrieve comparing with non-key field, I may retrieve multiple records. So I should go for internal table. So in the internal table, I should declare the fields. How many fields I have to declare? It depends on what data you want to retrieve. I want to retrieve three fields: material number, MBRSH, and MATKL. So let me declare in the same sequence. So what is the standard way of declaring? First types. So I'll say types, begin of, you can give any name whatever you want. So let me give it as begin of something ty underscore material. So here also instead of hard coding the data types, let us refer to the table field. Let us give the same name. So I want material number. I can say F1, F2, ABC, XYZ kind of thing. But if a variable has referred to the database field, better we give the same name for the variable. Same as what? Database field name. Material number type Mara-MATNR. Next, I'll select what? I want industry sector. What is that? MBRSH. Understood? What are the fields I want to retrieve here? I want to retrieve material number. Next, MBRSH. Industry sector and metal group. So what is the sequence of fields here? First MATNR, next MBRSH, next MATKL. So try to declare in the same sequence and try to retrieve in the same sequence, which will increase the performance. Type MBRSH. Next what? MATKL, metal group. Type MATKL. So these are the three fields. This is my type structure. Based on the type structure, I declare the internal table t underscore material type table of ty underscore material w underscore material type ty underscore material. Am I clear? So I declare the internal table at work area. Internal table and work area. Let us get the data. So on the selection screen, When you click on this execute button, what is the event triggered? Startup selection. Let us make this field as mandatory. So I'll select obligatory. So what is the event? Startup selection. So I'll say startup selection. Let us get the data. Okay, I can directly write the select query like this here, but let us try to modularize your program. Try to break the program into individual submodules. So what I'll do, I'll just call one subroutine, perform get materials. Understood? I can directly write the select query here, but I'm trying to modularize my program so that the maintenance will be easy. Okay, so I'll double click on the subroutine. It is a user-defined subroutine. Subroutine get materials does not exist. Create the object, yes. Where you want to define this subroutine, whether you want it in a separate include program, new include, or in the within the same program. I can go for new include or main program. I'll choose the main program. Yeah. How to define the subroutine, form and what? End form. So where to define the subroutine at the end of the program. So select what are the fields. Yesterday I use select single. But here I am going to compare with what? Non-primary key field. So there is a possibility of reading what? Multiple records. So I should not use select single. What are the fields? So we have to use in OpenSQL, the fields are separated with what? Space. Select MATNR. What else? MBRSH, MATKL from what? Mara table into table. You have to say into table. What is the internal table? T underscore material. If I leave it like this, you'll get all the 25,000 records. How many records are there in the Mara table? Around 25,000 or 21,000. 21,536 records. But I want it only based on what? Particular material types. I have to compare in the Mara table with what field you have to compare? MTRT. Na? Understood. Left hand side, we should give the database field name. What is the database field you have to compare? MTRT. Where MTRT equal to the given input field. What is that? P underscore MTRT. Understood. Select fields from Mara table into table internal table where MTRT equal to P underscore MTRT. Done. So I may get the data into the internal table. After executing the subroutine, control goes to the next statement after subroutine call. So here I'll say if T underscore material is not blank, if it is not initial means not empty. Okay, you have to display the data. Else I'll give the message. What is that? No materials. I'll just give the message no materials for the given material type. I'll display that material type P underscore MTR and F. Understood? If material is not initial, if the internal table is not blank, I should display na? I should display the data from the internal table. The data will come and sit in the body of the internal table. How do you display the data from the internal table? You have to loop and display. So I'll say perform display materials, perform display materials. I'll double click on the subroutine, does not exist, create the object. Yes, I'll choose what? Main program, right? So I'm just giving a meaningful subroutine name. So loop at T underscore material into what is the work area? W underscore material. Each record will come to work area. Let us display the data. Right? W underscore material hyphen. What are the fields in the work area? First is what? MATNR. Am I clear? We have MATNR, industry sector, and what? Material group, MBRSH, and what? MATKL. Done. Save, check for the syntax, activate. Go back, activate this, execute. Okay, I'll choose the material type as something coupons. Execute. What is that? I got the material number, I got the industry sector, might be material group is not configured, not available for this particular materials. That's why I'm not getting. Okay, I'll choose browse this. I'll choose the material type as something trading goods, execute. Yeah, for some of the materials, you can say I'm having the metal group also. Clear? So I want to show the number of record. So what I'll do here, if it is not initial, if T underscore material is not initial, okay, what I'll do here, or here only, immediately after that select query, I'll say if size of RC equal to 0, if the select is successfully executed, I'll say write number of materials for material type P underscore MTRT is SciDB count. We have a system field SciDB count which will hold the count of what? Number of records retrieved by your select query. Number of materials for material type is SciDB count. So when I execute this, right? So when I execute, I'll give the material type as something coupons, execute. Yeah, number of materials for material type coupon is 10, right? So I'll browse this. I'll select something drinks. When I execute, yes, number of materials for material type FGTR is what? 3. Understood? So SciDB count is a system field which will hold the count of what? Number of records retrieved by your select query. Let me try to debug this. I'll put the breakpoint on the 17th line. Okay, execute. So I'll give the material type as something what? I'll give the material type as something what? Uh, something. I'll give it as raw material ROH. Execute this. So if you see the input value, what is the input field in our case? P underscore MTRT. What is the value? ROH. What is the internal table? T underscore material, which has got 0 records. How many fields? 3 fields. If I double click, this is my internal table which has got 3 fields. It is blank as of now. So I'm executing I'm calling the subroutine. When I say F5, control jumps to subroutine definition. Yes. So in the subroutine definition, I'm trying to get the data from Mara table. I'm not using select single. I'm saying select fields into table. So when you have to go for into table, when you are retrieving multiple records, this is another OpenSQL statement. So when I execute, yeah, before this, what is the value of SciDB count or what is the value of Sci sub RC before executing the select query? 0. What is the value of SciDB count before execution? It is also 0. Right? So I'm executing the select query. If the select is successfully executed, Sci sub RC will be remains what? 0. So when I say F5, yes, Sci sub RC remains 0 means select is successfully executed. What is the value of SciDB count? I got 5088. So all the 5088 records will come and sit in the internal table T underscore material. So this is a data in the internal table. So if size sub RC equal to 0, yes, number of records, number of materials is what? So and so. So if you see the output at this stage, if you display the list, what is that? Number of materials for the material type ROH is 5088. Then F5, yeah, it is going back. If T underscore material is not initial, not empty, na? Earlier 0, now I got 5088. So it is not empty. If condition satisfied, it will go inside the if block. We are calling another subroutine. How many times this loop is iterated? 5088 times. So to display the data from the internal table, obviously you have to loop. So I'm not interested to loop. I'll say F8. I got the data. So this is how you will retrieve multiple records from the database tables. Any questions?
Sir,
Yes, I.
if we use select a single, how many records will we get, sir, out of those retrieved?
Select single means always one.
Which record
We
will be
don't know.
read?
I can't tell. Suppose material type I give raw material. How many records are there? 5088. So we don't know which record is maintained in the database first. Out of the 5088 records, you'll get some record. Which record we cannot guarantee. Okay, that is why when you are comparing with when you are using select single, what is the recommendation? You have to compare with key field. Key field, but this is not a key field. Na? This is non-key field. So obviously, what happens out of this 5000 records? I don't know which record we cannot predict. That is the issue. That is the reason whenever we use select single, we have to go for what? Comparing with what? Key field, so that we can guarantee that appropriate record is retrieved. Clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so this is how you'll read what? Multiple records from the database table. Okay. Now I'll do a small change. I'll go back. I'll make a copy of this program 45 to 46. Right. I'm not reading any input from the user. I'm not reading any input from the user. So I declare the internal table. I'll get the data. So since there is no input field, I'll not use any where class. Right. I'm using into table. So what happens here? You'll get all the 21,000 records. No? So when I execute, okay. I'll just give the message no materials. So when I exit, so what is the select query I wrote here? We are getting the complete data into the internal table. Mara table has got 21,000 records. Okay. So when I activate and execute, yeah, number of materials is at 21,536. That's what is the number of records in the Mara table. Right, 21,536. So this is understood. Nothing much to discuss. I am writing the select query without comparing with any field. So obviously you'll get what? All the records. Now I'll do a small change. In the earlier case, in the earlier example, we are comparing with what? Material type. On the selection screen, we are giving the material type as input. Based on the material type, we are getting the data. So here I'll say where, okay, I'll say material type equal to what? I'll say something coupons. Am I clear? Or material type. Understood? Material type equal to, I'll say something FGTR like this. Understood? Or condition I can give. Okay, so let's see when I execute this. Okay, how many materials I got? 13 materials. So if you go to the table, material type, if you filter, I give coupons. No? So based on coupons, how many are there? COUP, how many are there? 10 entries. And based on FGTR, nothing but drinks, FGTR, how many entries are there? 3. 10 plus 3 is what? 13. Am I clear? So like this, I can give. Okay, like this, I can give any number of values, or I'll say MTRT equal to something AEM, nothing but what? Samples. Okay, so when I execute, what I got? 49. So if you go to the table, if I choose 13, 13 plus AEM is what? Samples. Okay, if I see 36, 36 plus 13 what? How much? 49. So I got it. So what I'm trying to show here is I can use what? I can use a what logical operator OR in the select query. OR means what? If either of the conditions are satisfied. And means what? Both the conditions satisfied. I can do like this. Am I clear? I can do like this. Okay. Okay. I'll put it like this. This is okay. What is this case one? Retrieve what? All records. Okay. Am I clear? What is that case two? Select query with what? With where class and what? What is this operator? We call this logical operator. And or logical operator or. Is it clear? So I wrote like this. Understood? I can use a or as what logical operator. We are getting the data. This is my case two. Okay, I got like this 49. I can write the same thing like this. What I can do here, Control C. I'll comment this. Okay, so what I'll do here, I'll say case 3. So I want to compare with the set of values now where MTRT I can when we are comparing with one value we are using what equal to no? When you are comparing with single value always what is equal to. If you are comparing set of values I can use in operator in what it's a character field no? So in coupons comma what else FGTR. Am I clear? When I comparing set of values, I can use in operator. What else? AEM, AEM. Like this also I can write. You'll get what? Same number of records. How many? 49 you'll get. Select query with what? Where class and in operator. In operator. So when you have to use the in operator here, when you're comparing with the set of values. Set of values. So when I execute here, I'll get the same 49 record. So if I don't use any where class, we are retrieving what? All the records. Now what is the other thing I have shown here? As part of my select query, I can use the logical operator what or I can use the in operator. When do we go for in operator? When you're comparing with more than one value, we can go for in operator. We have to use equal to operator when you're comparing with what? A single value. Yeah, any questions? In both the cases, you'll get the same result. I can write like this individually or I can write like this. Any questions? Okay, if you want, we can use the AND operator. What I'll do here, I'll say okay, I'll say where MTRT equal to what ROH and MATKL. What is this MATKL middle group? What are the available middle groups? If you go to if you go to Mara table, MATKL, what is this middle group? So if you go to contents, do we have MATKL here? No. How do I change the selection screen? I'll choose the menu settings. What is this? Fields for selection. I'll select what? MATKL, middle group. Continue. Yeah, it will show the middle group here. What are the available middle groups here? If you browse this, I'm having around 449 entries. Okay. So I'll choose what is this 001. Nothing but what metal processing. So based on this metal group, how many entries are there? 3,709. 3,709. And in this, suppose in this 3,709 records also, I want material types as coupons. How many entries are there? Zero. So with that combination, I don't any data. So if I don't give that material type, if I execute, yeah, 001, observe here. Okay, so you can see here we have this is a material type. This is a material types. Okay, page down. Okay, like this we can filter. Suppose I'll select the material group as something. What is this? Uh, what is this? Something 001 00105 cable. Number of entries. How many are there? 11 are there. In this 11 also, yeah, this is 00105. In this we have what? Some material types. In this material types, ROH is an overall 11 records are there. Let me filter in this 11 also. I want only those materials whose material what type is what ROH, raw material. So how many are there? Number of entries, 2 are there. Am I clear? So with these conditions, material type should be ROH and material group is what 00105. 00105. So what I can do here, I want to compare multiple conditions. Select query with where class and what? And what? Logical operator what? And. Logical operator and. So what I'll do here, I'll say where MTRT equal to ROH and material group, it's also character field. So I'll say 00105. Am I clear? So like this, okay, what I'm trying to show is OR means what? If either of the conditions is satisfied, it will fetch the data. And means what? Both the conditions should satisfy. So when I execute, when I say fit, yes, I got what? Number of materials is what? 2. I got the material number, industry sector, and so on. So, is it clear? So like this, I can write the select query in multiple ways. If I don't use any where class, you'll get all the records. If you're comparing with set of values, I can compare by using this OR statement, or I can use the in operator. If you want both the condition, if you want multiple conditions to be cross-checked, if multiple conditions are satisfied only, it has to pull the data, means you have to use AND operator. Yeah, any questions? Right now, I'll go back. I'll copy that 45 to 47. 45, I'll copy to 47. So let me go for ABAP 7.4 syntax. Suppose here, observe this carefully. Okay, I'm reading the material type. So based on this material type, I want the data, means we are writing the logic like this. Select MATNR into table so and so, where MTRT equal to P underscore MTRT. So what I'll do here, observe this. The change I'll do is, I'm not declaring any internal table and work area. I'll remove this. Okay. So based on the material type, I want to get the data. So I'll say perform get materials. Select MATNR. I'll use a new OpenSQL statement. Okay. I'm using what? New OpenSQL statement. New OpenSQL supported from what? Supported from what? ABAP 7.4. Supported from ABAP 7.4. Okay. So this new OpenSQL, we call it as what? Inline declarations. Okay. So what is the meaning of this is, from ABAP 7.4, I need not do any prior declarations. From ABAP 7.4, I need not do any prior declarations for internal tables and what? Work areas. Okay, so what I'll do here, observe this carefully. Select. So in the new OpenSQL statement, in the new OpenSQL statements, fields should be separated with what? Comma. Okay, I'm saying comma here. Select MATNR, MBRSH, MATKL from Mara into table. I have not declared any internal table. So I'll go for inline declaration. Means dynamically the internal table gets created. Into table, you have to use this symbol. This symbol is called as escape symbol. At the rate data of what? T underscore material, where material type equal to, here also I have to say at the rate. Okay, if I don't use at the rate here, save it, check for the syntax. I got an error. Okay, if T underscore material is unknown, so it is not recognized. Acha. So since it is dynamically created, I should not go for subroutine. Let me remove this. Or else let me just remove everything. Observe this carefully. So what is the requirement here? Based on the given material type, I want the material data. So earlier case, what I did, I declared the static declarations of types of structure. Based on the type structure, I declared internal table and work area. Here, I'll use what? New OpenSQL statement. Okay, which uses what? Inline declarations. Means dynamically the internal tables and work areas gets what? Created. This is supported from what? Abap what? 7.4. Supported from Abap 7.4. So what is that I'll say? So in the new OpenSQL, the fields should be separated with comma. Select MATNR, comma, what else? MTRT. What are the fields you want? Select MATNR, MBRSH, MBRSH and MATKL. Okay, from which table? Mara table into table. Okay, we have to go for inline declaration at the rate into table at the rate data of some name T underscore material, where MATNR equal to what? The input value P underscore MTRT. I may get a syntax error here. Save, check for the syntax. What is the error here? I got there in the 10th line. What is that? When escaped, all the host variables must be escaped using what? At the rate. So what is that error I got? When escaped, all the host variables must be escaped using what? At the rate. The variable P underscore MTRT is not escaped in the same way as the preceding host variable. So everywhere I have to use what? At the rate itself. Okay, so when I do syntax check, yes. Okay, so what happened? This internal table gets created dynamically. So what is the advantage of this new OpenSQL is I need not do any static declaration of internal tables and work area. Now what I'll do, if the select is successful, if size of bars equal to 0, I need to loop the data or here I'll say write number of materials. Number of materials, I'll print what? Psi db count, which holds the count of what? Number of records. Let me display it. Loop at what is the internal which is dynamically created T underscore material. Loop at a T underscore material into I require a work area. Na? So in the loop statement itself, you should not use at the rate now. At the rate I have to use only this this at the rate we call it as escape symbol. This I have to use only in the select query. Here in the loop, directly I'd say into data whatever the name you want to give. W underscore material. So write W underscore material hyphen what? MATNR. Okay, W underscore material hyphen what? MBRSH. W underscore material hyphen what? MATKL. End loop. Okay, else I'll say no data. So what I'm trying to show is in the new OpenSQL statement, right? In the new OpenSQL statement, I need not do any prior static declarations for internal tables and work areas. This by using this inline declaration, this internal table gets created dynamically in the runtime, depending on the fields we are retrieving. This internal table and work area gets created dynamically. So when I execute, I'll give the material type as something AEM samples. When I execute, I got no data. Why? Oh, sorry. No one is telling me. I'm comparing with what field? Material number. I'm entering what? Material type na. So where what? A material type equal to so and so. So when I execute, I'll give something AEM samples. Yes, what happened? Number of materials is what? 36. I'll enter something coupons. I got what? 10. Okay, so dynamically, these internal tables and work areas gets created depending on the structure of your select query. So this new OpenSQL statements, they are not supported in the older versions. They are supported from what? ABAP 7.4. How do you check which version we are using? If I go to system menu status, status menu item, right? If you go to the product version, see details. What is this? Installation details. If I click on this button, okay, if I click on this button, so you can see here what is that in the installed software component versions. What is this SAP ABAP here? 7 point, or the release is what? 7.40. So this inline declarations, this new OpenSQL is supported only from what? ABAP 7.4. Before that, it is not supported. Clear? So depends upon if you're working in the support projects, customer might use the old release. So at that time I cannot use that. I should go for what old syntax only. In the new implementation projects, obviously customer will go for new version. So you can use this particular new syntax. Yeah, any questions? So this internal table gets created dynamically depending upon the fields we are retrieving. If I retrieve 10 fields, internal will be created with what? 10 fields. The advantage is I need not do any static declarations of this internal tables and work areas. I cannot use this escape symbol wherever I want. Here also I'll try to use escape symbol. So it is giving an error. What is the error I'm getting? The inline declaration so and so is not possible in this position. So in the loop statement, I cannot use that escape symbol. I have to use like this. Any questions? So yesterday we understood how to read single record. Okay, and we have seen that correspond here also. I can use corresponding fields, all those things. If the number of fields or sequence of fields retrieved is not matching with the target internal table, I can use corresponding fields here also. Okay, and we also understood about how to use a new OpenSQL statement. Done. So I'll stop for today. We'll continue tomorrow with other features. Chala then. So no questions. Okay then. So I'm winding off. We'll continue tomorrow, same time.